Charlie would like to know who would be in your ideal supergroup.
Little Richard on piano, John Lennon on rhythm guitar. Probably have to have Macca on bass, and Ziggy Modelista on drums, who's from the Meters. That would do me, mate.
You just sort of have the same characters coming back, you know, like Graham Cox and Noel Gallagher coming back. What is it about them that you enjoy working with?
Well, they always, whatever they bring to the track, really. I mean, Noel came down and played, and he just said, I'd like to come down and have a listen and maybe come have a play and that. So it was great. And same thing with Graham as well. And you kind of know with certain musicians, right? You always know that you'll get something great from it. They're playing lots of different things, and maybe you won't use all of it, or end up, maybe too much or whatever. But there'll always be something you'll pull out of it, which will be great and will kind of make a track or help make a track. And that's a mark of a good musician to me.
Now, Nicholas Mead wants to know, how do you keep moving forward with new music and vibes when others stand still and play the same old tunes?
Well, I mean, I just get bored. I don't know how people can do it, really. I mean, I know a lot of people do it for the money, and I make my living from playing music, don't get me wrong. But for a lot of people, it's just a job. It's just clocking on, clocking off, and it's never really been like that for me. I've always taken it very seriously. Some could say I've taken it too seriously, but I don't care. I think it's stood me in good stead, really, and to take your craft and what you do seriously is a good thing, I reckon. But I think I get bored easily, and I'm always looking for like another challenge, and I always thought that's the role of an artist, is to go forward really and to try and go to different places, and it's not always possible, physically possible, but as much as it is possible, you should do it really. My earliest influence was the Beatles. They were the kind of barometer, if you like, of what an artist should be. And I can just remember, even as a little kid, that just always looking forward to the next record and just where they're going to go next, And it was always somewhere else. It was always a move on, And I thought that was a kind of template for me of how bands or artists should act.
Kath Cook wants to know, what song would you
Kath
like
Cookson.
to have written? That was
Yeah.
sorry.
Kath Cookson, that was right.
She wants to know, what song would you like to have written that was written by somebody else?
There's a song called Galileo by Declan O'Rourke, which came out on an album, which I can't remember the title of, which came out about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe, on V2. It was a Dublin fella. Never did anything. The record didn't do anything. He was great, though, great artist. And but I thought, that song, I don't know if she's familiar with it, but have a listen to it anyway. But it's probably the best sort of love song I've heard for decades. It's kind of in the mould more of like, the kind of more romantic era of the 50s or some 40s or 50s, but a real classic sort of love song. That's tune for me.
Interesting choice. Adrian Meek wants to know, given your time again, would you do anything differently?
No, probably not, There's lots of things I think, well, could have done that better, could have treated that person nicer, all those things, but no, not really, because, I think whether we're talking about music or personal things in life, whatever it is, they're all, not all of them, I'll rephrase that, most of them are meant for a reason, most of them help you get from this place to this one. And probably without one of them or a few of them, you wouldn't get to somewhere else, and I think, if that makes any sense. And so I don't think, I don't regret it, no. There's some things I would have done differently, like I said, splitting up with Dee, my first wife, and, things like that, personal things, But, that's what happened, and that's what you have to deal with, and try and learn and move on from, really. And on a professional level, I mean, there's records I'm proud of and records I ain't proud of, but even the ones that I thought were so-so or rubbish or whatever, I wouldn't have got to the good ones if I hadn't have made those records, They're all stepping stones to get somewhere else, really.
We've had lots of requests here from readers all over the world. I can't sort of go to every single one of them. But we've had requests of, are you going to be playing Argentina, Russia, the United States and Australia seem to be the ones that I'm getting
Yeah.
most responses from. So, any plans to visit those places at all?
Well, not America actually, just New York. We're doing 2 shows in New York in May, I think it is, and maybe some shows later on in October on the West Coast. Otherwise, no, to be quite honest, at the moment. But I'm always open to offers, and I'm trying to I am trying to avoid going on tour as such at the moment. But just because I don't want to be away for weeks and months and all that sort of thing. But I am looking at doing some one-off shows, having said that. So we are playing some cities in Europe. Russia and Argentina, I'd love to go. So if they know anyone, give me a shout, yeah.
So you'd be up for it then?
Oh, yeah.
Wayne McKee says, we all know about your stance on reforming the Jam.
Yeah, hopefully.
How do you so I'm going to leave all of those ones out. But Wayne wants to know, what about a Style Council reunion?
I'm not interested in any reunion. You know, out the 2, that sounds more appealing because we used to have a laugh at that time. You know, but then it wouldn't be the same, would it? So what's the point? You know, and you know, whatever great feelings or nostalgia I have for that time, I know that we can never recapture it, and it's nicer, probably, and better left where it is really, and it wouldn't be the same. There's no point. I don't ever see the point of any of it really.
Chris Cox wants to know, how long do you think you can sort of keep touring for and playing for? How long can you keep this up for, do you think?
What does he mean, physically or just generally?
He doesn't actually say, so I mean, let's have a look at both. So I mean, physically and I guess generally as a songwriter and musician and recording.
Well, I mean, physically, I think if you keep yourself relatively fit, I guess there's no time limit really. I mean, B.B. King has to sit down when he plays now, bless his heart, but he's like fucking 80 something or other, you know, or maybe old, you know, 80, mid 80s, whatever he is, but he's kept at it. John Lee Hooker played his last gig, went home, said goodnight to everyone, went home and died, you know. So you can carry on doing it, I think, really. But whether you want to carry on doing it, that all depends, really. It depends how much you love doing it in the first place, what your reasons are for doing it, and you know, I really love the bit in Keith Richards' book where he says, "I'm not doing this for you, I'm doing this for me," which is a fair point, really. You know, you can't really argue with that, can you? And I know what he means. You know, it's easy for people to go, "Oh, look at that old twat," you know, you should turn it in. But from their point of view, it's like, "Fuck you, I've always done this, and I'm always going to do it." You know, I play in a band, and I'm a guitarist, and I'm a singer, or whatever you may be.
We got one from Takuya Takie Tanaka. I'm hoping I said that right, from Japan.
Good, fair play,
And
mate.
Takuya says, first off, would like to thank you very much for your support gig in support of the tsunami disaster. She's hoping you'll coming up to Japan at some point. But Takuya would like to know if there's any interesting guitar pedals or effects that you use on the new album.
There probably was, right, but I'm the wrong person to ask about because I ain't got a clue about any of that stuff. I've got roadies to do that sort of thing for me. I just play them. So I really, really wouldn't know that. I'm not being coy. I don't know. I haven't got a clue.
Now, George asks, now this is an interesting one. George asks that given that some of your last few albums have been experimental in nature, he wants to know if you feel that you're in danger of alienating long-standing fans.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not purposely doing that. You know, my days of willfully upsetting people have long gone. You know, and so when I do make something that's more experimental or kind of outside of what people think I'd normally do, I am trying to include those people with me. I'm trying to sort of say, look, come on, let's go and explore this other place. You know, but. You know, you're always going to offend someone or alienate somebody. I mean, if I'd have just stuck to what my audience wanted, I'd still be in the Jam, you know. I'd still be doing the same thing as I did 35 years ago or something. So, you know, that's the chance you have to take, really. You're always going to upset someone. Change always upsets someone. But change is good for people, you know. And it just takes time. Sometimes it takes people time to realise that, I think.
One last question, and it's from me. What's the thing that people get wrong most about Paul Weller?
My age. I'm really only 36.